Welcome to the Athletic Brewing post-race report for the 2025 Ironman 70.3 Venice-Jesolo. It was the fifth stop in our Ironman Pro Series and our first trip to Europe. We saw some new and up-and-coming names take their chances and claim the podium spots. I'm Laura Siddall. Let's look at the highlights. Ironman 70.3 Venice-Jesolo, the Venetian Riviera, a popular seaside resort, the second most visited beach resort in the country. And we had over 60 male pros line up on the beach for the fifth race in our Ironman Pro Series. With huge crowds and thousands of age group athletes behind them on the beach as they headed into the Adriatic Sea for the one-lap Roca swim. With a bike and run course that were pancake flat, the swim was anything but, with significant swell for the athletes to manage. And with lots of short course athletes, it was full on and the pace was high, but we did get a group of four breaking away as they exited onto the beach. This group was Yannick Schäffler, Panagiotis Bitados, Jonas Stromberg and Simon Westerman. They had a bit more space in T1 to remove wetsuits and before they headed out on to the Zoot bike course. This leading four had a gap of about 20 seconds to a large chase pack of athletes. This included Jan Stratman, Sam Dickinson, Rico Bogan, Cameron Main, Emil Holm and Pierre Lecour, who was fourth place in the Paris Olympics. Onto the Zoot bike course, one single lap, 90 kilometers, 56 miles, and it really is pancake flat, just 45 meters of elevation. But by 30 kilometers, Rico Bogan had moved to the front. Our 2023 Ironman 70.3 world champion was making his move on the bike and was definitely not hanging around. Jan Stratman was also charging hard from behind and moving through that chase pack. And Danish athlete Emil Holm, who mixes up racing WTS and middle distance racing, was certainly enjoying the Italian roads and countryside. Bogan was stretching his lead off the front, but the large chasing pack was still all together. Jan Stratman, Olympian Sam Dickinson and Jonas Stromberg, Bitados, Main and Holm. Athletes were definitely having to pay close attention to those race ranger lights and the drafting distance, and they would often have to overtake the whole line of athletes so as not to cause an infringement and get a costly penalty. But it would be our 24-year-old German Rico Bogan who would arrive in T2 with a 1 hour, 53 minute, 34 second bike split, and he would head out first onto the Roca run course. The large chasing pack would enter T2 almost 4 minutes back from Bogan. It would definitely make for a very crowded transition area as they went about swapping bike for run kit. But it was British athlete Cameron Main who would be first out onto the run course. Main has represented Scotland in the 2022 Commonwealth Games. Bogan was up the road still running well, but would it be well enough for the fast-charging athletes behind? Bitados was the fastest mover of the chasers, moving through the athletes as Bogan looked to be slowing out at the front. Bitados would move swiftly past Main, who would try to go with him before settling back into his own pace. Bitados now chasing down Bogan, but also just a quick check behind to see if he'd dropped Main. And then by just over halfway on the run, Bitados would catch Bogan and move into the lead. There was then no stopping for this Greek athlete, who was undefeated in his 2024 races, and he was quickly eating up the kilometres on the beachfront before the holidaymakers were up and had claimed their beach lounges. He would go on to take the win, shoe in hand, in a 1 hour, 7 minutes and 59 second run. In the end, just 6 seconds ahead of Briton Cameron Main, his best result to date. Emil Holm would round out the podium in third. And so to our men's top 10, that win by Panagiotis Bitados, Cameron Main second, Emil Holm in third, Simon Dickinson in fourth, and Rico Bogan, who had been our leader on the bike, ended up dropping to seventh, but he still claims his 70.3 world champion slot. And our overall Ironman Pro Series, well, the main moves in the overall series was Jonas Stromberg. His 5th place in Venice now moves him to 2nd place, just 3 points behind Rudy von Berg, who stays at the top. And Jonas Hoffmann makes it into the top 10, finishing in 9th, having jumped up 13 places. And so to the women's highlights. The Jesolo Lighthouse stands 48 metres tall and offers stunning views from its 243-step climb, and it also looks over our Roka swim course and the female pros lining up on race morning. The women started 8 minutes after the pro men with the beach start and that run into the Adriatic Sea. They would also have to navigate the swell and would have been paying close attention to the men's start. Unlike the men's race, the women's race separated out into 1s and 2s as the women navigated around the 1.2-mile Roka swim, with a lone leader out in front. That leader was German Lena Meissner, who would be first into T1 and out onto the bike. French athletes Giulia Iermolo and Italian Louisa Pratt, much to the delight of the Italian crowds, would be next into T1, just under a minute back from the lead. Meissner would head out onto the Zoot bike course, the road ahead to herself. The chasing women, Iermolo and Pratt, setting out to try and reel Meissner in. Meissner is just in her 2nd year racing the middle distance and also raced on the WTS circuit last year. And she just had the incredible roads and that Italian countryside of this fantastic course ahead of her. French athlete Emilie Morier, who is in her 3rd year as a pro and was just under 2 minutes down from the lead at the start of the bike. And Norway's Solveig Loftseth, who was a further 30 seconds back, was the fastest mover, reducing the deficit to the front. Loftseth won her first 70.3 at Indian Wells in 2023 and last year raced both over the WTS and 70.3 distance, including representing Norway at the Paris Olympics, where she finished 48th. As Loftseth overtook Morier, the French athlete went with her. Denmark's Maja Stage Nelson, who finished 5th in the Ironman Pro Series last year, and this year coming off the back of 5th place at Ironman South Africa back in March, was also moving well and trying to make up time. Meissner was still rising well and aggressively at the front of the race, trying to put more time into the chasers. Morier was still having a great race as well, although while she tried to go with Loftseth at the start, she had been dropped and was holding a gap slightly behind. And then it would take Loftseth almost 65 kilometres to catch up with Meissner and to take the lead. The Ironman South African champion German Anne Reichmann was also moving through the field, but had found herself at 4.5 minutes back off the lead. And over the closing kilometres of the bike, Loftseth managed to ride away, riding into T2 with a 2 hour, 6 minutes and 59 second bike split. And she'd head out onto the Hoka run course. The early leader from the swim and for 2/3 of the bike, Lena Meissner, would come into T2 in 2nd, 2 minutes 21 seconds behind, and head out onto the run. The athletes first having to navigate up and over a steep bridge, a little stinger for the legs at the start of the run. Loftseth was running well, extending her lead over the rest of the women. Morier also started the run strong, but was unable to close the gap to the front. Meissner as well, these two athletes looking secure in 2nd and 3rd. Along the beachfront, still too early for the holiday makers, Loftseth would head back towards the lighthouse. She would run down the break wall and go on to take her 3rd Ironman 70.3 win in one of the fastest times, 3 hours, 53 minutes and 22 seconds. Lena Meissner, our early leader, would finish in 2nd, and a very ecstatic Emilie Morier rounding out the podium in 3rd. Our women's top 10 results: Solveig Loftseth at the top, that's 2,500 points. Lena Meissner, Emilie Morier, and then Daniela Kleiser finished in 4th with the fastest run split of the day at 1:15.60. Anne Reichmann, Ironman South Africa champion, in 5th, and Maja Stage Nelson in 6th. And for our overall Pro Series ranking, well, that race for Anne Reichmann moved her back up to the top of the Pro Series ranking. claiming that first place again, dropping Chloe Lane into second, and Maya Stage Nilsson moved up 9 spots, now sits in third. This has been the Athletic Brewing post-race report.